Want more Gators Breakdown? Join Gators Breakdown Plus. Starting at $3 a month, get access to unique episodes, plus a blog, chat room, giveaways, shout-outs, and more. Gators Breakdown Plus is furthering the interaction with fans and listeners like you. Head to gatorsbreakdown.supportingcast.fm to join Gators Breakdown Plus today. Gators Breakdown, because there's never a dull moment in Gator Nation.
The Gators Breakdown podcast is ready to go. I'm your host, David Waters, and you can find me on Twitter at GatorDave_SEC. Coming at you night of Florida's first spring scrimmage under Billy Napier. Yeah, you guys know I wasn't going to go by without an episode too long on that. Do it Thursday night. Do it Friday morning. I'm going to help you guys out. If you're driving around Friday morning, you got this episode now. So no sleep. Pretty much I'll get this thing recorded on Thursday night, not too long after Billy Napier speaks to the media after the first scrimmage, and lots to get into. Injuries are piling up already for the Gators, affecting somewhat how Billy Napier is attacking spring practice, the first scrimmage. We'll get into all that. Multiple positions affected. We'll get into all that right here on this episode of Gators Breakdown. And a little bit of scrimmage notes. Not much out there by the time I'm recording right here. So then I'll get it out there. Any more, just follow on social media. Go to Gators Breakdown Plus. We'll talk anything that comes out about the scrimmage. Even more detail there. Before we move on, if you're watching on YouTube, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Really helps us out right here on Gators Breakdown. All these episodes coming at you during spring football. Hey, give us a like. Really goes a long way. And check us out at the home of Gators Breakdown, news4jax.com/Gators Breakdown. All right, so just starting with Billy Napier's opening statement. Said he was proud of the effort he saw out there in the first scrimmage. Execution needs to improve, but he's seeing bright spots. There are opportunities to teach, but really pleased with the overall organization and approach from the players. Napier says this first set of installation is simpler so they can evaluate the personnel. Don't put too much on them to where they're thinking instead of playing. He wants to see right now more physical ability at this stage of the install. There will be more installed for the second scrimmage, but a simplified approach for this scrimmage was needed as Napier learns this team. So there you go. That was kind of his opening statement about the scrimmage. Look, I'm kind of limited on the sound. Florida limits me to about 3 minutes of what I can share here. So there's a lot more important stuff to get to as far as what Billy Napier had to say. And the most important thing he had to say right after his opening statement was, most importantly, he says the Gators got out relatively healthy from the scrimmage. And oh boy, did that need to happen when Billy Napier goes into even more detail about the injuries Florida are dealing with right now. So let's start with the big story from this past week and the injuries at the tight end position.
Obviously when you have three guys get injured, scholarship players at a position that's already a little bit of thin, that throws a little wrench in your plans. But I would say this, Dante Zanders, right? Dante Zanders has moved from defensive line to tight end and has really done well. And there's no question in my mind that he not only is going to be able to play, but I think the guy can do his job, right? So he has been a godsend to some degree relative to his ability. He's really bright. He's picked it up quickly. He's able to go out there and execute. So, we're thin there. We got two defensive tackles that are over there. We got a long snapper that's taking reps. So that's an area on our team where we anticipated potential depth issues. We signed 3. We also had injuries, so we're thin.
Thin at tight end, and even thinner. Billy Napier let us know that tight end Gage Wilcox is potentially career-ending injury. He did not let us know what that injury was when he was speaking to us, but a A bit of news coming out of right after the scrimmage. We had Wilcox has not been seen at practice about the last two weeks, past the first few practices, and Napier did share with us potentially career-ending injury when discussing the tight end position. Hadn't been at practice, and look, that extends the issue from earlier this week. The report of Nick Elksness and Jonathan Odom both missing spring due to injury as well. Billy Napier confirms that. So good thing you hear Napier lauding Dante Zanders at the position, and at least Zanders has some experience at the position before. He made that switch to defensive end. Now he comes back to tight end, and right now you look at it, it's imperative. Keon Zipperer stays healthy the rest of the spring, going into the season, as he'll be gaining a lot of experience this spring at this tight end position. By all reports, he's doing pretty well, handling all that pretty well. Napier, you can kind of tell, and we'll get into a little more detail coming in as some of these other injuries, but you can tell he's not going to want to have to rely on the freshmen coming in the fall so much. Hanson, Boardingham, Livingston, and guys that, they've bounced around. He says good thing about Zanders, but you got Zanders and Keeter behind Keon Zipperer right now. That's a lot of that's not a lot of experience when you start looking at it. If Elksness and Odom have any hangups in trying to bounce back from injury, hopefully they bounce back fast enough. The word is they should be available in the fall. But we hope they bounce back and kind of give us the three that we saw getting most of the tight end playing time. Before spring started, we all started pointing out at Keon Zipperer, Nick Elksness, Jonathan Odom. Those are the three we tied in. So as long as those guys are back by fall, they'll be a little behind. But that's still the best case scenario for Florida when you look at who's on the current roster. But good thing to hear that Napier's happy with Zanders. And if he's happy with him at the end of spring, that gives Florida the fourth option that have at least played college football. So there are numbers where, numbers say the transfer portal may not be an absolute need at tight end, but given these injuries, given the lack of experience, and that's one position you still take a look at. And Napier could elect to bring in, more experience, more college experience, just in case the worst happens with those injuries, and he's not forced to play freshman. And look, no doubt he'll adapt a game plan, but it sure would be nice to have a full playbook to play along with right now. He gets into that about how much they've had to adjust spring practice. But having that option of being able to go two tight ends when he wants to, it'd be nice right now. Installing this game plan would be nice for the whole offense. It's not just the tight ends that are affected here; it's the quarterback in the play calling, the quarterback in the rapport with the tight ends, offensive linemen with extra tight ends on the field, running backs running behind tight ends. So there you go. Billy Napier catching us up on all the storyline of tight ends. But not the only place right here. So Billy Napier goes into the offensive line, kind of the numbers there. This was a little bit based on experience as well, but it goes on to detail some more positions that are dealing with some injuries.
I think it's a position where we've got a handful of players that can play, and then I think every team, every position on our team, we need more players, right? We need more depth. I think the offensive line is a reflection of the entire team, right? We have a pretty good first group we can put out there. If you really evaluated the team relative to experience, this is a very inexperienced team, right? After the first team, if you look at the experience, number of plays that a lot of these guys have played, they haven't played any, right? So we have very lot of work to do, to develop that second and third group. Inside backers, a room that's very thin as a result of few guys being banged up there. Safety room is thin as a result of a few guys being banged up there. We're lucky. I mean, we're just a couple of players away here from not being able to practice the way we want to. We probably didn't do 25 to 30 plays that we typically would do, if that makes sense. We don't have a third group right now, if that makes sense. We got a first and second group. So basically eliminated the third group. And then you got a lot of players that are a lot of players are taking advantage of opportunities, right? So, with challenges comes opportunity, right? You can sit around and complain about these things, but to me, I see opportunity, and that's the approach that we're going to take.
Definitely a good approach to take there, but man, you can now see some of the issues and maybe just how hard it will be this spring as Billy Napier installs, his culture, his offense, his Patrick Toney's defense this spring, and just how difficult it may be, and position injuries, and and I hate to keep doing it, but one reason we harp on recruiting so much, and look, these injuries aren't Billy Napier's fault. These injuries aren't Dan Mullen and his staff's fault, but you'd sure like be able to fill these holes, these injuries, these holes that are caused by injuries with better and more proven depth. Recruiting was hardly at the level to create high-level competition the last few years. Hardly at a level to really be able to count on players to fill in without a huge drop-off. And extend that to the message we always knew coming out of relying on seniority too much, and that affected the depth, the development. Young guys not getting playing time in blowouts of games. Younger guys not getting meaningful game reps. Not even blowouts. We all thought we'd see those running backs a good bit more last year. Lingard and Bowman. Nope. Still stuck with the older guys. It was an issue all over the team. Defense as well. And now I think feeling the effects of it a bit. Recruiting not at the level, so you don't have a lot of players you can really count on to go out there and perform at a high level. And lack of development. A good thing is as more guys are getting reps, now some of the more development can come into play here. And develop those guys that need the reps. And we've heard how different practice is right now. More reps are being taken by everybody gets the same reps. And the way practice is structured, everybody gets the reps. It's a great way to build depth. Great way to build experience. But Napier pointing out that, look, like the offensive line, I think if you think about it, okay, yeah, we got 7 offensive linemen. That's about it. You'd love to have, 12 offensive linemen you can count on. Don't get me wrong. Not every team out there is able to do that. That's pretty difficult. You have to recruit at a level for a few years before you can get to that level. But the University of Florida, you should be able to have more offensive linemen and second-stringer offensive linemen to be able to be counted on. But as he said, that's an issue of the whole team. At least for Florida's sake, for Florida's roster at quarterback, Anthony Richardson, he's the only one that's taking snaps for you. Running back, kind of different there. And that's one reason we were so high in that position. Wide receivers as a group, okay, you got Shorter, Whittemore, Henderson, making up a huge bulk of the snaps in that grouping. Defensive line, we've already went over that. You got Dexter in the middle. Not much else besides him proving production. Defensive end, we hope Antoine Powell can come up and not necessarily push Brenton Cox, but give him a breather, give him some good depth, like we talked about in the last episode. Lloyd Summerall as well, if he can get, bounce back and get healthy. Linebacker, you got Ventrell Miller, and then, we're hearing some good things about the other guys, but once again, it's the experience part of it. There's not a lot. You got Ventrell Miller, and okay. Scooby? Nope. Wingo? Toward the end of last year. DeJuan Black? Oh, we wanted to see him a whole lot more last year. Secondary, you can kind of go both ways. Marshall got a whole lot of experience last year. Trey Dean, of course. Rashad Torrance. Yeah, you got some experience. Tevez. I mean, the secondary. Now, Napier says they're fighting some injuries back there at the safety position. It's okay, so maybe some younger guys are getting some more playing time there. But, the secondary's got a lot of bodies. Pretty good experience back there, too. But for the most part, he's right. You got a level here, and you got a level down here. There's not much in between. So, what does that mean? Injuries. Not a lot of depth. Not a lot of depth that can be counted on. Not a lot of development. Probably means Florida's got to hit that transfer portal. Here's Billy Napier on that thought.
We live in a new era, right? I mean, it's certainly this is a new way of operating in college football, right? We took over a program. We've had a number of things that have caused attrition on our team. I mean, we're literally going to give 5 walk-on scholarships this spring, right? So, and we have spots available, right? So, University of Florida, you can anticipate us being very aggressive in the portal this spring. We need players, and I think the approach is going to be, acquire as many good players as we can at any position, right? So, we're thin, and we need help in a lot of different spots. We anticipate doing a lot of business, and we're looking forward to it.
Looking forward to it, man. It's gonna be busy. I mean, this is another part of the offseason with the transfer portal, and the more we get used to it, it's just going to. I mean, look, the transfer portal is already setting records every offseason. All right, more players in the portal than ever before. And now, you're going to go through spring. A lot of guys are going to find out where they are on depth charts all across the country, at Florida as well. Guys will be transferring out. Florida will be looking guys to transfer in. And already, it's on the mind of Billy Napier and the staff. But as he said, the University of Florida, they're going to be giving away 5 scholarships to walk-ons. And credit to those guys. They've earned it. But should that really be the case? Should it be happening at the University of Florida? No, it should not be. So you look at Florida's roster, for sure, going to be guys transferring out, not happy with playing time, not happy with where they're at on the depth chart after it all shakes out and plays out. Now, if Billy Napier says it, obviously, going to need to go get some as well. We'll see how the numbers shake out. Those numbers are crazy, counters and countbacks, and of course you got to be at that 85. But we got to remember, those first 7 transfers can be a clean swap, number for number. So if you lose 7, you can replace them with 7 in that 25. So it basically gives you 32. But then after that, they start counting against the recruiting class. Florida had 8 players leave, if you count Emory Jones, while bringing in Jack Miller, Osiris Torrance, Waits, Johnson, Kimber, 5 there. So unless I'm missing something, only 2 spots there in the transfer portal where it won't count against Florida from guys that have transferred out and guys that are coming in. So very, very interesting storyline to watch there. Who will Florida go target? I mean, you look at the positions. Tight end, we've already discussed. Defensive line, you guys know over and over again, I've been speaking about that this spring. I'll go get somebody there. Wide receiver, if you can go get a big playmaker wide receiver, probably more if you can get an experienced wide receiver as well for some depth. I mean, you start looking at it. You can start to pinpoint where Florida would be looking, what positions they'll be looking at targeting in the transfer portal. You have to go get somebody in the middle of the defensive line. I can't stress that enough. Maybe linebacker, tight end for sure. Yeah, it's probably just a 1-year stopgap guy for the tight end position because of the numbers you're recruiting. That you recruited there. We saw them probably. No, the Wilcox injury happened a couple weeks ago. The other injuries happened. You started seeing more targets in the recruiting world for the class of 2023 after bringing in and signing 3 last cycle. 1 more for the next one, or more targets for the next one already. And I still think you're going to get them in the transfer portal as well. So you can start really looking at positions. Florida's really going to need to shore up where they'll start looking for help for this coming up season. All right, so that'll do it there for the sound from Billy Napier. Those kind of the highlights from the way I saw it. But let's get into some more positions right here. Napier says as far as the quarterback position goes in the scrimmage that he wanted to see better situational play. There were a couple of critical situational errors, but thinks that's part of it because just how they've practiced so far. Everything up to this point has been compartmentalized, he said. It's a different setting in the scrimmage and piecing together play after play. Said he was I'm happy about this one too. Said he was happy with the quarterbacks protecting the ball. Only one turnover. That was from one of the younger quarterbacks. But a lot of good from the scrimmage, says Billy Napier. A lot of teachable moments. And it was a so-so performance in the scrimmage. Nothing really jumping off the page, but taking care of the football. While learning, installing an offense, to me, big plus. These guys need to get used to the offense, get more comfortable in it so they can start letting the ball fly. But there's kind of what the first scrimmage brought to the quarterbacks there, running backs, getting more consistent, says Billy Napier. They need to do the other things. They want to see the field. Says too many people think that position is just get the ball and go. Napier points out footwork, eye discipline, knowing protections, knowing a route tree. He sees this room getting better, wants to see them play winning football. Keep hearing in the scrimmage this week in practice as well. Montrell Johnson coming along, getting used to the offense at Florida. Yes, he was used to it at Louisiana, but he's getting used to this pretty much similar offense at Florida and getting just used to Florida, getting used to SEC speed. Lorenzo Lingard piling up some plays as well. DeMarcus Bowman, home run threat. So this consistency is getting there. The other side of the ball, defense, Jervon Dexter. It was a little slow start to spring practice for Dexter. Not so much anymore. He's been pretty much dominating the last few days. That continued in the scrimmage. And also the position group that we've discussed a whole lot of needing to take that next step because the talent is there. It's a linebacker position. Ventrell Miller, while not practicing a lot, had a really nice scrimmage. DeJuan Black has had maybe, from everything I can gather, from talking to other people as well, maybe the player of the spring so far on defense from short portions of open practice and talking to people who would know. DeJuan Black really showing out, continued in the scrimmage. Derek Wingo making good plays in the scrimmage as well. So the linebacker unit, all 3 of those guys making plays in the scrimmage, continuing a good spring at that position. Black continues to be an issue in passing lanes, gets his hands on the ball, creates turnovers. You love to hear it for a position group that needs to improve so much. All right, this was going to be a shorter episode. As I said, put it together for you guys not long after Billy Napier's press conference after the first scrimmage. So there you go, getting you caught up, getting you updated. As I said, there's more news and notes from the scrimmage start, maybe even filtering out. We'll discuss it mostly on Gators Breakdown Plus Discord. But of course, you guys can follow me on Twitter at GatorDave_SEC. Do a lot of discussion there as well. But plenty of spring coverage on Gators Breakdown. If you haven't listened to any of the previous episodes, there's been a lot this week. I think this is the 4th episode this week. So keep bringing it to you guys. Take advantage of football season. Spring football, not too much longer. It'll be going away. And then what we'll get? Billy Napier even said it. We'll get transfer portal. We'll get preseason magazine talk. Then it won't be long. I mean, we'll be in April right now. May, preseason magazine talk. Go to July, I'll get SEC Media Days. I mean, moving along pretty fast here. But all right, that'll do it for this episode of Gators Breakdown. I'm your host, David Waters. You can find me on Twitter at GatorDave_SEC. Guys and girls out there, thanks for listening to this episode of Gators Breakdown.